Shalom, this is Brother Cody. I'm just going to be doing a chainsaw maintenance video to help out the saints that are out there that have a chainsaw and they need more experience with it. I'm here with Brother Mike and we're here at Straightway for Passover. This is a CS 590 Timberwolf. It's an Echo chainsaw. It's not bad. It's a good chainsaw. I like it a lot. This is Straightways. So what you got going on with chainsaws like this that are pretty basic is that you've got a chain that it's going to be a 3/8 inch pitch and it's going to be a .050 gauge. So that means when you go to sharpen it, you're actually going to need a round file like this. This is a 7/32 file, and what you're going to do is you want to actually sharpen as often as you possibly can. Now, the reason you do that is that the more you sharpen the chainsaw, the less you're actually going to have to sharpen in the long run. And the point of that is that say you're cutting and you hit a rock. If you go ahead and you just keep going, the teeth are going to be so messed up that it's going to take you literally maybe a half hour to just sharpen the thing to the point where it's usable at times. When you get to the point where you're cutting and the chunks that are coming out aren't like long ribbons and you're getting dust, that means you got to sharpen the chainsaw. If you feel like you got to put a lot of pressure on the chainsaw, that's not good. That doesn't work out right. So with this, a really good way to go about it is to actually first get a marker, put like a dot right there. Now, the reason is that when you go through and you're actually, there we go, when you're going through, you're going to see that it's going to be going around. You're going to have to come back to the same place you originally were. With this particular chainsaw, we're going to start on this side. You see that line right there? The line, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go parallel to the line. And when you take the round file, you want to make sure the point is this way. And you want to make sure the blunt end is going this way. So you got a good picture view of it. What you're doing is you're not cutting inside, you're actually cutting the tooth. You are sharpening the tip of the tooth right here. So when you go through, you want to make sure you're consistent. You want to make sure you keep good pressure. So when you go to do it, it's going to be like this. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4. You see what I mean? 5. Alright. Then you hit the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you want to keep good, even strokes. I mean, if I had gloves on, which you should put gloves on if you feel like you need more time to be actually staying consistent. Maybe you feel like you might cut yourself on that. It's usually suggested that you do that. Now the thing is that you're gonna go how many strokes it is to make sure that each of those teeth is straight. And the more you do it, you're going to feel it. You're actually going to feel that, okay, I don't have that resistance anymore as I'm drawing it through. And like I said, you just stay even and you're going to just pull through. You're just going to pull on through just long, good strokes. Now these right here, this is called a raker or a depth gauge. The point of these is that as the chain is going around, you're going to find that the tooth is cutting with this part. This is what's actually cutting the wood. This part right here, all that's doing is pushing out whatever slice that you had from this one. So you have that ribbon is going to get pushed out by this, but it also, even more so, this is really what it does most of all, is that it's determining how big the cut's going to be. Because when that tooth, when that tooth is cutting, if you could imagine you got the wood like this, because it's like that, you got that little bit of space, right? Because you got that little bit of space, that's going to determine how much wood is actually be taken out. With every single tooth, you're taking out about this. You know what? Let's bring it back just a little bit. With every single tooth, you're taking about that much wood. That's how much. Small amount. If you take a dime and you set it on there, you should be able to figure generally how much you're going to have to get that raker down. Now, if you have a bastard file, which is actually what it's called, it's a bastard file. If you take a bastard file, you could get these rakers down. Do not do this a lot. This is only when you're sharpening it right. You everything else is maintained in the saw. You actually go to get the depth gauge taken care of, and when you do that, you just all right, I'm gonna start right here. Just consistent stroke. 1, 2. That's it. That's it. With this, you know what? I'm gonna do 3. You ain't doing much. You ain't doing much. You're staying consistent. You're trying to go as flat as you can. All right. For the rest of the saw, as you can see here, we have the bar nuts, and unfortunately, I don't have the actual. I don't have the scrunch with me to take care of this. We could probably just do a part 2, and I'll show you the internals here and how to deal with that. But the point is that you're going to want to clean out your chainsaw very, very well. A few other things I'm going to say very quickly, and this is just like the parts of the saw. Right here is called the bar. Right here you have the chain. This is the actual cutting tooth. This is the depth gauge. And then over this way, the part inside here, that's actually going around, that's hooking onto the teeth, this is the sprocket within. This is called a grease point. What you want to do is, if you have a grease point, every once in a while you're going to get a bottle of grease, and you could find these at Lowe's, or you could find them at Tractor Supply, and you just put in a couple, you just squeeze in, it's gonna push in some grease in there, a couple of dabs. Up here, we got the actual chain brake. Now the chain brake, generally what I'm doing is I'm gonna be hitting it just about every time I'm done with the chainsaw, just in case something were to happen. I like to keep the chain brake on just in case when I go to start it that it's actually not going to keep, the chain won't keep running, because sometimes that you'll have that happen. You'll start a chainsaw, there'll be some gas, it'll have a bit of a kickstart, and it'll go, and someone won't be prepared, and they might get hurt. But for the most part, that's how that works. There's also an inertia chain brake if you ever have kickback. And what kickback is that as these teeth are going around, as you saw earlier, this is the actual cutting part. When that cutting part actually hits something really, really hard, really, really fast, and you have a situation where, say, there was one man that was out in the woods. This was explained to me when I was actually going to school. He was cutting a log, and there was another log under it. And when he was going through like this, and then once he got through and he hit that other log, because he wasn't paying attention what was beyond what he was cutting, it hit, and then he had kickback. The point is that you hit it so hard, this chain wants to keep going. But what's going to happen is that it's going to kick up. Now you want to make sure you got your thumb well seated right here. You don't want to be doing it, like a trucker hand, just like this, which, I've done that too when I'm driving, but you ain't driving, you're using a chainsaw. So that way, if it kicks back, you ain't gonna, you ain't gonna slip. But if you have it right here, when it kicks back, it's gonna go like this. And it's gonna engage the chain brake. There's also an inertia chain brake, like this one probably has an inertia chain brake. I know most Steels, most Huskies do, which means it's automatically going to engage when it pops up, but every once in a while it doesn't. This particular man that I'm talking about, the reason I'm talking about it is, and it's a serious situation, when he actually went and he had that kickback, it went up and went right on his face, and he ended up just pushing it out, and it just kept on going, and it just went right down him. And that's why it's just really serious to make sure they're actually having a good grip, they're actually wearing safety equipment, wear a helmet, wear your muffs, wear some chaps if you got them, especially chaps. Right here, we also have another part of the safety, which is you have to press down onto this trigger to actually be able to engage the normal trigger. This right here, here's the choke. This inside is the air filter, and we'll show with the internals how to deal with that. And that's where you're going to turn it to open it up. You got your cord, you got your starter cord right there. You've got your starter switch. You got your trigger. You've got your handle plate. And right here, you got your hand grip. And the point of that with having these two is that at times when you're cutting a tree, you're going to have to grab that or you have to grab that. But you're always going to want 3 points of contact. So if I'm cutting a tree like with this, and if I'm actually going off on it, I'm going to want to make sure that I've got this well seated. And I've got 3 points of contact. So when I go to cut it, and I'm going down first for my 90-degree angle, or my 70-degree, excuse me, I'm actually going to be able to work with that. So if I have a kickback, it's just going to go like this. I'm making sure that my face is in front. When you go under, you're going to want to make sure 3 points of contact. If you get a kickback, it's just going to go like this. You'll be fine. And also, they do have chaps that do go all the way around your legs if you have a kickback, and it goes around. You won't slice yourself. Hopefully, hallelujah. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Oh, you're gonna want to press on that too when you go to start the chainsaw. You can do a couple of different ways. Some people do drop start chainsaws. I don't suggest that. A couple of different ways to go about it are you can do it from this position, which is just keeping your knee on the power head and actually pulling the starter cord, or you could do it from a stand position and you could do it right here. And I'll show you real quick how to work with that. So first, you pull out the choke, make sure it's not in position, make sure your button's down, make sure chain brake is on. You're gonna bring it in here. Once you have that noise right there, that means you got your first burp. It's gonna be ready to go. Push in the choke, still on, got my button in. So you saw right there, it automatically started going. That is why you keep that chain brake on. If I didn't have that chain brake on, it would have just kept on going. If I wasn't paying attention, you know, and I had it resting, like I'm surprised some people will do it. They'll actually have it rest on their leg. I remember when I was going to school that the first partner I had, he got done cutting a tree, went just like this, sliced the chaps, just let it rest right on his leg. He was a big guy too, but the chaps saved him. And I'm going to say the last thing is simply that you're going to want to put in gas that's not 89 gas. You don't want to put ethanol gas in there because it's going to draw water and it can ruin the chainsaw. You can find that it's actually inconsistent when you're trying to use it. You could get rid of the gas or you could treat it. That's pretty much it. That's all I got right there. Make sure you use the right mixed gas. Make sure that you're putting in adequate bar oil. Always, every single time you fill up the gas, which is right here, make sure that you fill up the bar oil all the way up too at the same time. And that's all I got. Shalom.